And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Robbie Mackenzie, a trance channeler, author, and Intuit. Today we're going to talk about the awareness and accessing of the Merkaba and more. Robbie, thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you. I appreciate you.
So let's start here. How did you become aware of the Merkaba yourself?
Well, I had when I first was kind of tuned into spirituality, I'd had a few kind of peak experiences before. I had a difficult year. I split up with my ex-wife. I moved in with my mum and dad. My mum got cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then she got lung cancer. And after chemo and radiotherapy, she passed away. And 6 weeks later, my dad passed away as well. And in this time, I started in a meditation circle in a church in Scotland. And I found this Merkaba meditation. I didn't even know what that meant, really. You know, I didn't understand what that was. And I just really looked at meditation as something to bring you into a peaceful state or to relax your mind or to bring you some sort of calm, which it is as well. But there are deeper levels to meditation that I was unaware of. And I found this meditation, and there's a certain, it's like sacred geometry. The idea is we all have this Merkaba around us. It's like three-dimensional Star of David. It's like two spinning pyramids, like two tetrahedrons. And when you visualize this with love and certain breath that you use and certain visualizations, when you properly spark it open and access it, you have the experience of oneness. You have the experience of enlightenment, if you like. You have, instead of it being an intellectual understanding that we're all one, which we can all kind of grasp intellectually, you have the experience energetically. You have that experience, and after I've never been the same since then. So, you know, and there was definitely that year, there was a certain intensity and kind of trauma of, you know, events and, you know, bereavement and all of these different things. The opening of the Merkaba actually came several weeks before my mum passed away. So I actually had the experience of that. And ever since then, once you have that experience, you want to tell everybody. You know, you think, and it's not something that you don't have to be a certain religion or spirituality or, you know, nationality or intellectual. You know, there is nothing that separates us from accessing this. So anybody can do it, and everybody can do it. So that's why I rave about it, because I think the simplicity of it. There are many different, like I channeled the book Metatron, this is the clarion call, to help people access this and to help people access the simplicity of it as well. But there's lots and lots of different meditations on YouTube and different ways of approaching it and different thoughts about it. But the kind of end point is the same. It brings you into that place of oneness and that experience that, you know, this is all an illusion, and you can access that. You don't have to do certain penance or, you know, whatever. You know, there's nothing that is based in dogma or doctrine, or it's just a realization of the oneness with the divine. You know.
So a Merkaba is a geometric structure that's like an energy structure.
Yes.
And you
yes.
said it is two pyramids. Are they one up and one down, kind of like the Star of David?
Like the Star of David, exactly like the Star of David, but it's a three-dimension. I believe that is what the Star of David is. It's a representation of the Merkaba, and that shape is primordial. It's in lots of different ancient traditions. It's not just Judaism. It's found in carvings that are tens of thousands of years old. You know, it's in the pyramids. There's a representation of it in the pyramids, and yeah, so it's two tetrahedrons that spin, and you visualize them spinning in opposite directions to each other. It doesn't matter which way they spin, as long as they're spinning in opposite directions. And the idea is that the Merkaba accesses the flower of life. So the flower of life shape is, the idea is, you've probably seen the drawing. It's like one circle and then another circle and all the different circles around it. And that expands and expands and expands all these different circles. And the idea is that one circle is the 0 point. And that's what's inside all of us, everybody. And when you successfully open your Merkaba, you tap into that structure that is creation, that's everything. And so, like I say, it's not a story to tell or to get people to start a new religion or anything like that. It's an experience. So it doesn't hold any judgment, or, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you are. Anybody can try this. You know, anybody can access it. So yeah, and once you have the experience of it, you realize that oneness. So it kind of changes your perspective as far as kind of your own seminal programming or your own judgments about things, or the way that people have told you that life is, and it shows you how life really is. And, you know, and that we're all one. We're all one, and we can all access that. And there's no higher or lower. There's just you having an experience, and the different levels of that's the peak experience of the Merkaba. But when you use the Merkaba as a tool for kind of enhancing your life just gets better. It gets more efficient. It gets more, you know, things are when you pray on that structure and open yourself up with your heart to this, things just get more efficient. They get better. You have a deeper understanding of things, and the organization of whatever it is that you're working on, or your passion is, or, you know, your path forward in life just becomes easier. or you become more adept at dealing with it. Maybe it doesn't become easier, but you become better at, you know, at accessing whatever it is, you know. And that's why I'm so enthusiastic about it, because it's anybody can access it. You know, it's like, you don't need to join my club. You know, like there's like, join this religion and you'll have eternal life, or you'll have this, or you'll have that, or whatever. There's none of that. You know, there's just a realization of that oneness that we're all privy to if we take the time, you know.
So, to simply put it, in order to access it, do you meditate and visualize those structures around you, like you're inside of it, or
yes,
or what?
Well,
do we
you
do?
are inside of it. Yes, you are inside of it. So we all have this structure around us, and if you know, the toroidal field, you understand the toroidal field, the magnetic field that goes around it, you energetically. Well,
right.
You're accessing that toroidal field, so you can't not have a toroidal field, or you wouldn't exist. So you can't not have a Merkaba, or you wouldn't exist. But what you're doing is you're accessing what's already there around you. So that surrounds you, and it can only be accessed with unconditional love. It can only be accessed with love. So if you can do the meditations, and you can try to access it, but if you're, you know, if you're in that vibration of negativity, and you're not prepared to drop that, it won't spark open. You won't, you know, it has to be accessed with love. So that toroidal field works more efficiently and most efficiently with an open Merkaba, right? You know, so as you're in that place, I suppose that's what it is. It's accessing love. It's accessing the deepest part of your own potential to access love. And in that love state, it's like when part of the clarion call is romantic. There's romantic parts in the meditation. And when you're in love, or when you have that flush of love, or when you're getting married, or, you know, you're having children, or you're the first love of your first child, the accessing of all of that love, you do notice that things are just, they flow better, or you don't care about little things, little niggly things anymore so much, because your heart's so open and you're in a kind of flow state. And the accessing of the Merkaba is you accessing that love state, you know. It's you accessing the flow of what it's like to be in love, but there's no object of your desire. There's no romantic partner, or, you know, or child, or whatever you're passionate about. But it helps all of those relationships be more fully accessed as well, you know. So it's like agape, it's like divine love, but it's a flow state, you know.
When you start meditating, what do you think is the best way to get you in that state of love? Like thinking of loved ones, or thinking of your children, or your parents, or your spouse?
Now, that is exactly what it says in the Clarion Call. So that's one of the first meditations from the Clarion Call, is visualizing your loved ones, visualizing those who you have that connection with, your children, or your partner, or your parents, or, you know, the conceptions of in your life that you've had peak experiences with. So your grandma, you know, your these early experiences, or these intense experiences, or the first passion with your first love, or you know, you meeting the love of your dreams. All of these are accessed. So that's part of what the Clarion Call accesses for you, to help you get into that state. Because the more we have these experiences, you know, you remember a certain point, or a kindness, or something that gets you into that flow state, which is very valuable with opening your Merkaba. It's the only thing that will open the Merkaba. So and you getting back to those states of when you got married, or when when you've had your first kiss, or, you know, whatever, when you were in that butterfly state, that excited kind of uplifting state, that activates your Merkaba. So that helps you. That first, it's like a a dynamo. You need to put energy into the dynamo to get energy out of the dynamo. It's kind of like that, you know, but that magnifies things intensely, you know. And then once you get the hang of it, and that's, it says in the Clarion Call, practice, 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 because the more that you practice on unconditional love, and when you get it, you become love. You know, you become love. And it's not like once you've done that, suddenly you're Jesus. It just means that once you've opened that, you know the truth about life, if you like, you know, or you have a direct experience with the truth in life that is love, you know. And it's like, also anybody and everybody can relate to love, you know, and that point, that kindness, that thing that makes you recognize that you're worthy, or that you're here for a reason, and, you know, that's all part of it. And that's why I'm so enthusiastic about it, because I think the more simple, the more easily accessed, because it's not a teaching, it's not, like I say, it's not a dogma, it's not a doctrine, and it's only valuable with direct experience. And so it's, if you know, this isn't, I'm not starting a religion. I'm not interested in being followed, or being worshipped, or, do you know what I mean, having a cult or anything like that. You know, I think we all have this ability to access that love. And yeah, that's why I'm so enthusiastic about it, you know. Yeah.
So you first kind of visualize loved ones, and you get into that state. Then you start visualizing the Merkaba, the two pyramids spinning in the opposite direction.
Yes.
And then once you visualize that, what should you look for, or should you recognize that you're opening it up? Like, how would you know if you've opened your Merkaba?
Well, you won't have to ask when you open it fully, because you will have the experience of oneness can be stated intellectually, but it can only really be a fully appreciated experientially. Like, so you have to experience it. So you working towards opening that. That's another thing. It says in the Clarion Call, practice, practice, practice. You know, and the more love you access, even on the way to the full opening of the Merkaba and the oneness experience, you kind of, it's hard to explain, but you have the experience of dissolving into the universe. You have the experience of knowing everything and nothing at the same time. You know that you are one with the divine. You have that experience. So once you've had that experience, it's like there's no going back. That's for me, that's the point of that my life completely changed, because I have a different perspective on everything now, because I've had that full experience. But on the way to accessing that full place of enlightenment, or the deepest point of awakening, it has benefits. It helps you be uplifted. And there's certain breath points in the clarion call. It has, you hold at the top of your breath and you hold at the bottom of your breath, and you there for a certain, for your own comfort, for how much you can do that. And there's also another breath where you, part of the meditation, where you take a deep breath and you blow out, you purse your lips and you blow out, and there's these metaphysical things that are in the clarion call that show you how to get into a certain state, energetic state. And there's certain thoughts to think. There's 9/10 the speed of light and equal speed as well. There's a kind of thoughts that you think while you're activating this vessel, because it's like a vessel. It's like a spaceship as well, because once you've gotten the hang of that and you get into knowing that you have that and experiencing that in deep meditation, you can travel, you can astral travel, it helps you. I know a lot of people can astral travel spontaneously, but this helps you be more in control of that traveling, or more in control of the feeling of bilocating, or like sensing things from a distance, or sending distant healing, or telepathically communicating, or they say that people having near-death experiences, it's kind of like having a death experience when you fully open it, because it's like you're reborn. It's like a rebirth. Once you come out the other end, it's almost like, well, that was my life with a certain understanding the way it was before, but I can't be the same now because I've had this experience. I've seen the wider understanding of the universe. And it's not like suddenly you're superhuman or you know everything. I'm still Robbie, and I still have my lessons to learn. But for me, it's easier for me to bounce back from things. It's easier for me to let go of things that maybe would have taken me over the edge, or maybe would have, do you know what I mean? Like, that frustrated me in a bigger way. It's easier for me to come into a deeper kind of point of emotional balance and mental balance and kind of peace, and it's not that nothing upsets me or I'm perfect. I'm not, I'm just Robbie and the same, but it's easier for me now that I have this tool, so. And that's why it's like, I'm like, open your Merkaba. They're like, what's a Merkaba? What are you talking about? Yeah.
You were saying that when you're visualizing the two pyramids.
Yes.
How are you doing that?
Well, I'm visualizing, I think all visualization comes from your third eye, and so visualizing there is a picture on I couldn't find the other clarion call. That's the structure of the Merkaba. You see this chap in the pink chap in the Merkaba there. So I'm visualizing this structure spinning right around me, right, and the two parts spinning around me. And I don't know how technically this works. I just know how it feels. And another thing that Metatron says is, if it takes a while for you to be able to visualize it, if you can see it on a 3D plane or in a video or whatever it is, and you know what it is, and you feel it, you open up to feeling that that is a structure, because it's already there. It's just about you kind of accessing it. So if you're not as good at visualizing, or if you don't access things through the visual structure, feeling it is almost just as enough, and knowing that it's spinning around you, because it's putting you in direct communication with your higher self, or or what you call God, or who you pray to, or whatever your own structure is. And it also, that's another thing it says in the clarion call about what your own structure is, whether you're a Buddhist or a Christian or whatever your family structure is, because the prayers are structured to, there's like 3 prayers in it, I think, but a prayer is just focusing your mind, and like aligning your mind. So the prayers have Metatron in them, but it says replace Metatron with your deity. So if you pray to Jesus, say, Jesus, help me with this. So it's not trying to get in the way of your own belief system, or your own, permission slip of, or your own psyche. It's helping you access that. So that's how I do it. It's like, it's more automatic for me now, because I know that it's there, But yeah, visualizing the 2 tetrahedrons spinning around each other in whichever way, it just has to be the opposite directions, because it's like bringing spirit to matter. That's what it is. It's like the bottom tetrahedron is matter, and the top tetrahedron is spirit. So it's bringing everything that's unseen to everything that is seen into the middle part of your heart, so that you can access creation, or however you want to put it, enlightenment, unconditional love. Yeah.
Is the Merkaba considered one of the structures of sacred geometry?
Yes. It is within what they call Metatron's cube, that holds all geometry. So it is the point where every point of sacred geometry can be accessed. So however you access sacred geometry, no matter what tradition it is or what understanding it is, you're accessing it through Metatron's cube. So that is the geometric structure that contains all sacred geometry. Yeah. So it's just aligning your geometry to the geometry of the universe, or God, or spirit, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
All right, you've mentioned the clarion call, and I think the full title of your book is Metatron, This is the Clarion Call.
That's it, yeah.
So did you channel this book? And if so, were you channeling Metatron?
Yes. So when I first, when I was first in Circle, probably about 2003, almost 20 years ago, when I first stood up, I started channeling people. It was kind of like a clairvoyance. But there was a certain point where I thought to myself, this is just another person's opinion. It's like, and that's all valid. It's good to share opinions, but I wanted to go deeper. And there was a certain point, a prayer that I was like, I want to access kind of a higher truth. I want to learn. I don't just want to hear other people's opinions, whether they've passed or whether they're here. And that's good. Discussion is good, but that's all people on the same kind of level of consciousness. Like me talking to you, it's the same level of human consciousness. So I was like in Circle, and I was like, I want to access higher energies so that I can learn. And if that is meant to be taught through me, so that I can teach, or so that I can help humanity, because me hearing somebody else's opinion is, I have to work out what that is that's right there. So there was a certain point that I got to, and there was an agreement with kind of my guides that I would start channeling angels, and the vibration of the channeling got more and more. But I was told if I was going to be doing this, I would have to prepare myself. I would have to fast. I would have to, go into certain points where I kind of retreated from the world a little bit, and was just in the company of kind of higher beings or whatever. And they told me I was going to have to do this fast. And several years later, after, preparing myself more and more, I did. I was asked to do a long fast, and I did. I ended up doing 79 days. Actually, it was nearly 3 months of a fast. And after day 20, after I had been, it was almost like my own retreat. I purified, I prayed, I was doing chanting and mantras and all of these different things to try and get myself into that place. And then on day 20, I started channeling the clarion call. And it was a deep trance channeling. It's the deepest channeling that I've ever done, really. And it was over several weeks that the book was channeled, and I'd recorded it. And word for word, I transcribed it. So the clarion call is exactly the way that the channeling was at the time. So the energy of it is there is an edited version of it, but that's only really my punctuation. And yeah, that was probably the most intense 3 months of my life. And from that point, everything unfolded, really, So Metatron, this is the clarion call, and it's got in the front all you need to know. So and that is, to me, it is. So it's not all you need to know in life for your whole life, but all you need to know for the basic foundation of accessing the flow state and your love and that point of connection with the divine. Like my granddad was a minister, so I was kind of brought up in quite a spiritual religious family. And I always remember the quote that he used to always say was, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you." And it's like this point of wisdom that I didn't understand, but what it meant was, once you align to the divine, once that's your first priority, everything else kind of falls into place, or your potential is reached on a kind of higher level when you do that. And to me, the accessing of the Merkaba, or that oneness, or that alignment, that's what that does. It helps you get into that place where you're in alignment with your own kind of higher self, and yeah. So the clarion call was it was a life-changing kind of experience for me, So yeah.
How did you get the ability to channel? Did you have some kind of spiritual awakening after you accessed the Merkaba, or being involved in meditation, or what?
Yeah, well, I had before I was a drama lecturer, I trained to be an actor, and I worked as a drama lecturer after I finished college. I was married at the time, and we were both drama lecturers, actually. And I had certain understandings of spirituality. Like I say, my granddad was a minister, so I had a certain understanding of religiosity, or spiritual kind of understanding. But it wasn't like something that I fully understood, or I'd had so much direct communication with. And I had an experience we went on holiday to Pontins. It was in North Wales, and it was a bus trip. It was like the bus takes you there, you're there for a week, and then the bus takes you back. And before we went, I had a really bad toothache, and I was a misery guts. I don't think I enjoyed the holiday at all, right? And I must have been a real drag for my ex-wife, and for the whole week. So on the way back, I bought a book for this. It was a 6-hour bus trip. So and I had a seat to myself. So my ex-wife was sitting with the wee one. I had a seat to myself, and I was sitting reading this book. And it was called The Superhumans. And in this book, there was a chap who was a psychic dentist. And during the Depression in the 30s in America, he used to go around all the people that couldn't afford dentistry. And he would slap them in the cheeks, and he would say, "In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, be thou whole," or "In the name of Jesus, be thou whole." And so I've got this really bad toothache, and I've read this book, which seemed like a coincidence to me, a synchronicity. And so I was like, okay, so in the name of Jesus, be thou whole, and I slapped my own cheeks, and I just kept reading. I just never thought about it, and hours later, when we got back up to Paisley, I said to my ex-wife, I don't have any pain anymore. And after that whole week, she was like, what? That could have happened when we were on the holiday, kind of thing. And she's like, well, I couldn't get an appointment for the dentist before the holiday or during the holiday. I couldn't get an emergency appointment, but I'd managed to get an appointment for the Tuesday after the Saturday that we arrived back in Paisley. And she said, keep the appointment with the dentist, even though there's no pain. You might have got a bit of food stuck in it or something or whatever. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. And that dentist was the only dentist that I'd had in my mouth for several years previously, because my ex-wife had been a dental technician to him. So we kind of got free dental care as well, a reduced plan dental care. So he was the only dentist that I'd been at for several years. And he said, it's been heavily filled. He said, I don't know what it's been filled with, but it's a really good job. And I was like, what? I was like, what? So it wasn't like as if I had this spiritual epiphany at the time. I'd just been in pain, and when that happened, for several years after that, it's like it takes some time to sink in. But because it was a tooth in my mouth, I couldn't deny it. And because it had been verified by a dentist, and the only person he knew my teeth, he knew the state of my teeth, or so it couldn't. It's like my rational mind was going, what, Now we went to on holiday to Canada. My ex-wife her uncle was a minister in Canada, and we went to Canada, and I relayed the story to him, and he said, this is a faith builder. This is something for you, not for anyone else. It's not about telling a story or it's not about an anecdote. It's not about you trying to convince everybody that psychic healing or psychic dentistry is real. That's for you. That's for you only. That's for your faith. That's for you to work out within your rational mind. But because, like I say, it had been verified by a dentist, so it's not like as if it's like different people that I spoke to, some were incredulous and were like, I think you've gone a bit crazy, Robbie, and some were like, no, that's spiritual healing, that's real, that's a thing that happens and can happen, and it's just about us figuring out how to access those things. It wasn't like suddenly I was a guru and could touch people with Shaktipat and heal them or whatever. I was just the same Robbie as I was, even after the Merkaba opening. But this all led to a deeper experience of the Merkaba opening as well. And it's almost like that set me on a bit of a path. I started learning Reiki. I started, being a bit more interested in meditation, kind of just having a well, what's this all about? What does this do to you? And just sit in silence. Just sit doing nothing. What does that mean? And I think a lot of people in looking at beginning meditation, it's like, well, what's the point in it? But the deeper point in it is actually greater access to your divine oneness. And all of these spiritual things, I mean, that sent me down the rabbit hole of metaphysics and, the law of attraction and what does this all mean? And this was, I think I was 27. So it's almost like 25 years ago, so that happened, but it was like it was a beginning thing. It was like one of these things that it's like when I think about it now, I'm like, I do spiritual healing, but if I could make everybody heal like that, I would. That's what I would be doing. Like every day I'd be in a hospital going, there's your cancer done, there's your tooth done, there's your, whatever. But I think we're all on a personal journey to discover our own personal strengths or our own ability to access these things. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't think it's as cut and dried as, you're healed or you're healed. It's about a personal discovery. It's about these gradual things kind of sinking in about the reality of spirit and what that power is,
So are you saying that the tooth was filled with a silver filling?
It was actually black. It's still black. But he didn't know what it was, but it's not. He said it was a strong structure and he didn't know what it was.
Like the body itself just kind of walled itself off or healed itself in a way.
In that book, it had talk about silver fillings and gold fillings and porcelain fillings even. But mine wasn't. It was just black, but it stopped the pain like that.
Mm.
And he's like, well, there's no need for me to do anything. He just looked at it and he was like, okay then, But he was actually a born again Christian himself, so he wasn't incredulous. He was just like, yeah, okay, because I relayed the story, and he's like, well, that's spiritual healing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you added that he was a born again Christian, because I was curious of what his whole interpretation was.
Yeah, and I think when people are of a spiritual bent or have that understanding or that mindset, it's very easy for them to accept that story. And then if people are from a more kind of eclectic background, it's like incredulous, So I think that depends upon your perspective, But he wasn't phased at all, because like my ex-wife's family were her dad was a church officer, and they were quite a religious kind of family, so they didn't bat an eyelid. They were like, yeah, that was Jesus healed you. And I was like, okay then. And so, but because I didn't have that was a reference, I couldn't deny that. Like if somebody tells you a story and you're incredulous, that's their story, and whatever happened, the truth of only they know, really. You can believe it or not believe it, but it wasn't for me to convince anybody. It was for my benefit. Excuse me, it was for my benefit. And yeah, I don't think I've looked at anything the same way since then, because the physical world is not as we think it is, and the exploration of that and going deeper into that and understanding what that means and what it means to you personally, that's your own journey, And that's why I've been very clear about these books and this channeling, because I think it's very easy. I think it can be very easy to become a guru, or for people to look up to you and think, oh, well, he knows all the answers. And I don't know all the answers. You know all the answers. Do you know what I mean? It's like the Merkaba in these books, and it's a way for you to access your truth. It's not, I don't know any more than you or more than anybody. I'm not a guru, So I think that's important,
One of your books is called Twin Flames.
Yeah.
Can you give us your definition of what twin flames are?
So this is the only book that I've written. I wrote this book from my own personal perspective. I'm writing other things, but this is the only book that I've actually written from myself. The other 4 books are purely trans-channeled. Each one of them, I needed to do a 40-day fast at least for me to access that information, and they're transcribed exactly. It's what you could probably call a first draft. If you were being cynical, the 4 book, the Clarion Call, the Healing Book, and the Galactic Council books 1 and 2 are first drafts. They're word for word the way that it came out. Right? And I'm astounded that they've got the structure that they actually have, because they are channelings, but they were meant to be books. But this book, Twin Flames, Merkabahs and More, is what it's called, and it's my my biography. It's a short biography at the beginning of my seminal experiences, and then it goes into me meeting my twin flame, and what Ascension is, and how you access what they call divine nectar. So it's the pineal gland, the secretion from the pineal gland, that it brings you in a state of bliss. So this is my biography. So twin flames, to me, the idea is we all have the traditional idea of a soulmate, right? Or the other half of your soul. But the twin flame is not, it's not just a romantic concept. It's a way to access or to show you what it is you need to do to help kind of not perfect yourself, but show you where it is that you need to deal with yourself. And relationships have this to a certain degree when there's love involved anyway. You know, it's like that your partner will show you, you know, what you need to deal with within yourself. But the twin flames concept is specifically for this time, because according to my guides and Metatron and, you know, the higher beings that I access, right now we're in a time of ascension. We're in a time of the rapture. We're in the time of everybody accessing their divine core, and the twin flame is a kind of romantic way for you to connect in to what we're saying about accessing your Merkaba. It's easier to access your Merkaba when you're in unconditional love. So the twin flame is like a one, according to the clarion call, when you open your Merkaba, it's like you're either your higher soulmate or a twin flame or a twin ray, or there's different specifications that it talks about the 144,000. The idea is there's 144,000 people that are here to fully open themselves up, which will help humanity access unconditional love more easily, if you like. And your twin flame is like your the other half of your energy, which is the divine complement to show you how to best utilize your energies and your heart and what your divine purpose is, and, you know, the best part of your romantic experiences, and how you need to lift up each other or help each other or heal each other, or, you know, come into that kind of understanding. So it's kind of romantic as well, you know. It's I think the divine knows what it's doing, you know. Yeah, so that's my biography, and about Ascension, about it's got snippets from all 4 books as well. So how the Merkaba is accessed, what the Galactic Council is, or what these different beings are that are trying to communicate with us just now, and how they're trying to communicate telepathically first, you know, because like the governments and leaders are not always forthcoming in, you know, things that are always best benefit the people, you know, because of business and all of these different things, money and whatnot, you know, in the way of that. So us accessing that as a collective directly is more effective for us opening up as a kind of more telepathic society, you know. Yeah, and that's part of it, you know, accessing your twin flame or your twin ray, or, you know. So yeah, explains it in the book, but it's only 130 pages, you know. It's but I've kept it as succinct as possible. But yeah, that's kind of my experiences of it, and my experience of meeting Angelina and us opening up together, and, you know, being in a deeper kind of love connection, you know. So yeah.
You have 2 books on the Galactic Council. In any of those books, does it tell us when we're going to get full disclosure of aliens?
Well, that's what the 4-book series is about, preparing us for full disclosure. And the clarion call is talking about this 50 years, a 50-year period, where we become more and more spiritual and more open to our spirit, and more telepathic. So disclosure, i.e., you know, the galactic people landing on the front lawn of our houses, can happen now. That can happen now, but they will not lower their vibration to match our vibration. We have to raise our vibration to match their vibration. So it's a point of communication. So they're already there. They've already been there for thousands of years. They've never left. It's just the way that we are able to see them and access them and communicate with them is changing, because we're moving away from the energy of our animalistic tendencies and kind of tribal, you know, warlike existence, into a more open and kind and telepathic and spiritual way of being. So there's already people that have had full disclosure. There's already people that are accessing their spaceships. That's already happened. So disclosure is here already. Wider disclosure for the collective has to happen incrementally, because as a collective, we're not fully ready for those ships to land yet. It's still a little bit in almost derision, even, you know, and you know, it's still a little bit sniggered about or laughed about if you mention UFOs. Even though even lately there's been on the news, there's been, you know, crafts and they can't understand it, and the scientist Michio Kaku, I think his name is, talking about these vessels that we can't explain. We can't explain how they can move faster than the speed of sound without breaking the sound barrier, how they can move through water and air almost simultaneously with no change in speed. None of those things agree with the laws of physics as we understand it. And yet they do exist because we observe them. We have, it is documented. And more, this is what the Galactic Council books talk about, because the more and more that we see these crafts or you know, film, I mean, everybody is a filmmaker nowadays with modern technology. Most people have, you know, the setup that would cost thousands, you know, and a film crew in their pocket now, you know. And so, you know, technology has brought us to the point where the powers that be, if you like, cannot deny this anymore, you know. So the reality of that, according to the Galactic Council, it will happen, and we will. This is them preparing us for galactic disclosure, but it's like it has to happen individually first. And the more people that open their Merkabahs or that come into a kind of heightened awareness of their own galactic lineage, if you like, and that are open to that, the more they will have these experiences. So they're already landing, they're already here, they're already around us, they already want contact, but they're not going to connect with us until we prepare ourselves to connect with them. So it's already happening, you know, it's already happening. It's happening more and more. And it's just our awareness of it and how we expand ourselves. You know, we have the walkie-talkie to connect with them. We just need to put batteries in it and turn it on, you know, and those walkie-talkies are our internal selves, our chakras, are our psychic senses, our spiritual senses, our Merkaba, our third eye, you know, our visualizations, you know. We already have. Somebody said the other day, you ask God for a cake and God gives you the eggs and the flour and the milk and the butter and the oven, and he says, well, make it yourself. You know, and I think that's kind of the message of that, because like I say, it's not trying to start a new religion or, you know, or get anybody to drink Kool-Aid or you know, proclaim somebody as a living God or any of these different things, because we're all divine, you know. This is a way to access that divinity that is about our own sense of self, our own common sense as well. I think when I had that experience with my tooth, because it was something concrete for me, I had to explore further, you know. And we will all have these different little peak experiences that bring us more and more into our heart center, bring us more and more into being able to access the communication, the way that we can connect, and the way that we can connect with our galactic brothers and sisters, you know, or the Galactic Federation, the Galactic Council, however you want to put it. There's loads and loads of different channels that are talking about this, you know, and that are helping people access it. But you have exactly the right tools within you to access it directly, you know. And it's like these books, they're just protocols. They're just ways, like words, phrases, channelings, the sentences that will help you align yourself to your own galactic abilities. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying it's not like a club, it's not religion, you know, it is something that you access within yourself. And from that, you have a divine connect, direct experience with whatever your starseed family is, or whatever your lineage is, or however it is that you open yourself up, you know. And you'll have your own you know, within your own DNA, or within your own opening, or within your own telepathic understanding, you'll have your own galactic family that you'll connect with. You know what I mean? Or who you resonate with, or who you feel a connection with, you know? So yeah, it's so, in a nutshell, it's already happening. And the wider disclosure will only happen when we're really fully ready for it, you know? Yeah.
So are you saying that they're already here? It's just maybe when the planet goes through this ascension, then we'll all start seeing them.
Yes. Yes.
When do you think we're going to complete the ascension?
Well, like I say, the clarion call says it's the next 50 years. And there are people that are already in that state, because this is about, again, it's the law of attraction. Partly it's about fulfilling prophecy. And what I mean by fulfilling prophecy is, if you understand the concept of the law of attraction, we think a thought and we create the thought that we think. So a building was a thought first, you know, a stadium was a thought first, and then it was written down, then it was built, and that created from a thought. So the seminal programming from our forefathers of the holy books, the Bible, the Revelation, you know, the different things that we have in our collective psyche as a kind of truth, as a kind of collective understanding of where we're going, sort of has to be played out until we know and are sure that we create this experience through the law of attraction ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So the collective creation of what we're going through just now, that we're seeing, yeah, it's like fulfillment of biblical prophecy is what we're seeing. You know, that's what it looks like just now. But the according to my guides, this is about the fulfillment of the law of attraction to our collective mind. I mean, just looking at that one biblical text, the Bible, that's almost half the people on earth, you know, who are influenced in some way by that book, right? So, and that book is kind of a seminal text of our language, not just of our religiosity, but of, that was the first book. The Gutenberg Bible, it was the first book. So us accessing words comes from that seminal text. So the law of attraction, in our understanding of that text, we have a kind of collective law of attraction that is getting put into action. So we're kind of creating that from our seminal programming. And the more that we access the law of attraction, the understanding that we create our own reality, the more we create a different reality, or a better reality, or a more awakened reality, or a more connected reality. Do you know what I mean? So we're creating these circumstances. Everything that's happening as a collective on the earth is happening because of our collective consciousness. So we are all influenced by these seminal programmings. And once we move past that point of that initial understanding of how we create a reality, then it's easier for the galactic beings, and you know, to come to us, because we are not just chained to old programming. We are not just chained to what our forefathers wanted us to believe or think or you know, understand or create. So from that perspective, this is what we're going through just now, you know. Yeah.
All right, Robbie, I'm going to switch gears on you. You have these books out. Do we find them on Amazon or your website, or both?
Well, my website went through a bit of a sabotage. Somebody that gave me the website took the website back for themselves last year. So the website is in the middle of litigation just now. So you can access the books on Amazon, and if you look at Robbie Mackenzie, the author page on, there's another couple of interviews that are on there as well. But Metatron, this is the clarion call. So it's on all the Amazon pages. Look at the reviews, you know, it's like use your own discernment. The clarion call, the healing book, and the Galactic Council books 1 and 2, all channeled texts. And to me, you'll access them when you're ready. So it's again, it's not, like I say, I'm not trying to start a religion. You know, like it's an energetic thing that you will, if you resonate with this and that helps open your heart or your Merkaba, your access to a more effective understanding and execution of the law of attraction, that's great, you know, and that's fantastic. So yeah, have a look on Amazon. And Twin Flames, Merkabahs and More is my biography. So it has snippets. So if you're kind of new to kind of channeled stuff or whatnot, that's my personal experience of it, you know, and how to kind of access that as well. But excuse me, if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get all of my books for free. So they're in hard copy and Kindle, but if you've got Kindle Unlimited, you can get them all for free.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of recording the Audible as well. So yeah, for the books, so there's a more kind of energetic experience as well.
After watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you. Are you open to that? And if so, how should they reach you?
Yeah, well, have a look on my YouTube channel, because most of what would be asked of me is in the videos. So I've put most of the videos that have been recorded in the New York City group online on my Metatron. This is the Clarion Call, is the YouTube channel. So yes, of course, I'm open to people reaching out. You know, but there is only so many hours in the day. So, but most of what would be asked of me is in the videos. You know, so going through the different points that go years back of the New York City group, you know, and what is there, and everything that's really needed is in the books. So like I say, you can get them free if you've got Kindle Unlimited, you know. So I do what I can when I can to help people, but the onus is not on me, the onus is on you. So that's why it's like the personal responsibility for your own meditation and your own experience is very clear within these books. Like you can access the highest of energies because it's all within you, you know. So yeah.
You mentioned the New York City group. Is that available to anybody to join? And if so, how do they join it?
Yes. Well, again, that's Metatron. This is the Clarion Call meetup group that is every month. There's a meeting, and it's just a meetup group. It's not a special website or anything. And Elan and Tonya, the ladies in New York City that host the meeting, lovely people, a lovely group, just beautiful people, just meditating. And if you can't access the meetings, you'll be able to see them afterwards on because she kind of keeps the meetings kind of small so that she can manage it, you know. So it's usually about 20 people. If you can access it, that's fine, but I leave that to her discernment because she runs that group. I'm really looking forward to going to New York, but I've not been there yet. So, and according to Metatron, it's that's another portal of ascension. There's different portals of ascension around the world that are very powerful for the accessing and opening of our consciousness. So yeah, just have a look at it. Used to be I think it's Metatron. This is the Clarion Call still. It used to be something from an angel. It was Jonathan Berkowitz. Was a chap that had, after I was telling you this story, that when I channeled Metatron, this is the Clarion Call, because it's a spiritual text, I wasn't sure what to do. So I prayed, asked, what should I do? Should I market this? Should I, what should I do? And within 10 minutes, I was on this meetup site that had already been started. And Jonathan Berkowitz was like, how did you get in touch with me? Because this is, I've not published this to the web yet. You shouldn't be able to have access to this. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't know. So, that was another metaphysical thing that was like another pointer that I was on the right track, you know. And at that time there was like 10 members that were interested, and now there's like over 1,000 members in the group, you know. So all of these little metaphysical things that happen, or synchronicities that happen, they all kind of lead you to a better place or a better point of access. So yeah, but check out the books. Check out Robbie Mackenzie's page. There's 2 interviews, I think, on the Amazon page. One was the first interview that I ever did, just after releasing the Clarion Call with Shinshuri, like a 15-minute interview, and there's an hour's interview with Charlene, a lady, an angel lady that interviewed me as well. So there's another 2 interviews on there. Have a look. It's about what resonates with you, right? You know, so if it resonates with your heart, if it opens you up, if it makes you feel in alignment, you know, it's all for the better, you know. So right. yeah.
All right, Robbie. Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Well, the most positive message I could say is we're going to be okay. I think just now, at a time of so much discord and misinformation and disinformation and panic and fear and worry and all of this, according to my guides, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And if you access your higher self, it'll be an easier ride through to disclosure. It'll be easier for you. It'll be easier for your family. You'll be more at peace with whatever it is that comes to you, and you'll be able to create with abundance whatever it is that you need when you access that. We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. You know, I love you all. You know, and it's accessing that love that's going to help everybody. You know, so we're going to be okay. If there's any one message, and what I would say is open your Merkaba. you don't have to do it through my books. There's meditations on YouTube, and there's so many people that are teaching the Merkaba now. A lady in the Midwest Chios School of Healing took all my 4 books. She never asked me. I just noticed online that she was teaching these books, a 4-book course. But there's so many different people that are teaching it, but you accessing your Merkaba will be you accessing the highest reality that you possibly can for yourself and for your family and for your part in this, and so that you're not in a place of kind of fear and being held down, but you're in a place of accessing that unconditional love. You know, we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. And I know that sometimes it feels like as if we're not, with all the way that things are presented right now, but we're going to be okay. And the Galactic Council loves you, and Metatron loves you, Jesus loves you, your higher self loves you, Krishna loves you, Buddha loves you, you know. So and that is your higher self, and that is within you, you know. So if there's anything, we're going to get through this. We're going to be fine. Yeah.
Robbie, thank you for that message, and thank you again for being my guest. I wish you a great rest of your day over there in Scotland.
And you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
Bye-bye. God bless you. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.